Hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-Second Gaming. In today's video, we are going to be talking about 5 crucial rules / tips for you to be following this season if you are a solo queuer. I think we all know solo queue is rough, but I've been solo queuing a fair amount this season, and I've also solo queued to Masters twice before, so I do know a thing or two about it. But just quickly, before we get into all these things, if you guys are really looking to take your Apex skill to the next level, then you need to check out the GameLeap website right now. Over there, we have literally hundreds of videos teaching you how to be the best player you can possibly be. We have legend guides, gun guides, VOD reviews, and much more. So no matter what you struggle with, we have a solution for you. So click the link in the description, pick yourself up a membership, and start to improve today. But okay, with that out of the way, let's hop back into things. And to start things off, tip number 1 is support legends right now are insanely useful. Now, just to make things clear, I am talking about the actual support class in the game and not just the support role. Those are two different things and it does get a little confusing, so I am actually talking about these support legends like Conduit, Lifeline, Newcastle, etc. But with the armor changes that were brought in Season 20, support legends can help you and your team get to not only blue but purple a lot faster. What I mean by this is the support legends are able to open up the blue support bins. This gives your team a little bit of extra evo charge when they do open these up because it is them doing what their class is meant to do. But unlike scanning a care package that's coming down like the skirmishers can do, this gives you 100 and not just 50. And I know that you can scan both the care packages and get 100 total, but sometimes on maps like Stormpoint, where the mountains may be cutting off your vision, you might actually not be able to get the second care package. There are situations that will come up where you're not able to do that. And yes, I know that the assault classes are able to open up the red bins to get those, and that does help, but the support legends offer just a little bit of extra help because they're able to make it so your team can craft banners. Crafting banners is incredibly important as a solo queue player. Fights sometimes do not go the way that you want them to go, and sometimes you don't have the communication that should be on a team in Apex. So rather than trying to figure things out where you can grab a banner, where you can't grab a banner, anything like that, you can just run away, craft the banners, and be perfectly fine. And even if you're not the one that's alive, your teammates have the option to craft as well, because if you have a support character on the team, anyone can craft banners. This allows for a lot more flexibility in the game and makes it so your team doesn't have to go on essentially what is a suicide mission to grab some banners sometimes. So right now, support legends are actually incredibly useful, especially as a solo queue player. And typically I do recommend that players have a legend that does have some sort of movement to help them get in and out of fights, especially when they're solo queuing, because sometimes you can't really rely on your teammates. But honestly, this season I've been using Conduit a lot to help me in my solo queue, and I've been finding a lot of success with her. So if you want to try a support legend, maybe give her a shot. But now we can move into tip number 2, and that is to avoid mid-game fights like the plague. I see way too many people too gung-ho about going and fighting, especially in the mid-game. Mid-game fights right now are not worth it. Other seasons, yeah, you could argue that mid-game fights are a little bit more useful, but right now there's almost no point to them. Yeah, you can get some damage, yeah, you can get some kills, but the risk to reward ratio is not there. You can still level up your Evo by getting the Evo crafters, by doing anything that your class is able to do, like opening support bins, stuff like that. So you're not really going to be at a disadvantage that way. But the better, more consistent option, especially for solo queuers, is to go and play zone. Let everyone else that doesn't know how to avoid mid-game fights take each other out of the lobby. They're going to start a fight, it's going to get third partied, that's going to get fourth partied, that's going to get fifth partied, and people are just going to start dropping like flies. Not a whole lot of people are actually playing zone, so you're able to do some insanely easy rotations and get a spot in zone and just wait for the end game. Yeah, you might miss out on a few KP, but right now in the game there's actually a KP limit, so once you hit that, you're actually going to be getting docked some points. Now that KP cap is not a hard cap, so you're only going to be getting docked a little bit of points, but it's still enough to not make mid-game fights worth it. Like I said, the risk to reward ratio right now as a solo queue player there is not there. When you're in the solo queue environment, you might not have the communication that's needed in order to know when to get in and out of fights, especially in mid-game situations. But this kind of leads into tip number 3, and that is to don't overvalue damage. With Season 20's introduction of the changes to the shield, which I am actually a huge fan of, a lot of people have got it in their minds that they have to do as much damage as possible so that they can level up their Evo armors before anybody else. And yes, it is nice to go into a fight with higher armor than somebody, but overvaluing damage is going to get you killed. Running headfirst into a fight because you want to level up your Evo armor is going to be the downfall of your climb and lead to you being hard stuck. This plays off of the second tip because a lot of this goes hand in hand with trying to get yourself into mid-game fights. Most of this is going to be you trying to race to get that second and third upgrade for you because you want to have more upgrades on your character. It's just kind of a thing that people want. But like I mentioned before, you don't actually have to really do a lot of damage in order to level up your Evo. You can open up bins for your class, you can get the Evo harvesters, you can also find a care package and get the Evo cache that's in it. There are multiple different ways in order for you to level up your Evo armor, but even on top of that, if you get to the end game situations where teams are kind of vying for different spots, if you've set yourself up in a better position than everyone else, you're going to have a lot of free shots on people in the end game, which will allow you to level up your armors. Overvaluing damage will put you in worse positions, it'll lead to you dying more often, and it'll lead to you losing a ton of RP that you don't need to. But now we can move into tip number 4, and this is to not go down with the ship. This is something that I've been seeing a lot in my own personal games, and if I'm seeing it, I'm sure a lot of other people are seeing it. If your team dies and you have the option to get out of a fight, get out of the fight. Don't try to be the hero and 1v3 that enemy team that just wiped you in a 3v3. You're not going to be able to pull it off. Just get out and get your team some extra RP, or even just salvage what they may have gotten into the game by going net zero. Now this is a little bit easier to do if you do have a support legend like in tip number 1, but this goes a little bit further than that because even if you don't have a support legend, your team will still get the placement points that you are getting while they're dead. They might not get any KP from it because if you happen to snag a kill or two along the way, they won't get credit for that, but they're still getting the placement points. In the long run, it's going to be better for them. They might be a little bit ticked off that you left them in a fight, but they were dead already. Just leave and get yourself some extra points. This is going to be one that you are going to have to set yourself up for mentally because there is going to be a kind of a stigma that you're going to have to break because people think it's a bad thing to leave their team when they're down in a fight, but honestly, it's your game. You are a solo queuer. You're playing for yourself. It's a little bit selfish to say in a team game, but honestly, you're not with a real team. This is just 3 randoms. So save your RP, get some placement points, and go from there. But now we can move into tip number 5, and this is it's a marathon, not a sprint. Apex Ranked is a grind, especially this season where they did reset everybody back to 0. It is going to be a climb in order to get back to the rank that you were before, or even the one that you are trying to hit in the future. If you're setting your sights on a high rank like Diamond, Masters, or even Predator, you have to remember that it is going to be a grind. You're not going to get it overnight. Some games you're going to absolutely pop off and get plus 200, plus 300, something along those lines. But other games you're going to be getting some negative points. You're also maybe even going to be getting something like a plus 10. But over the long run, you just want to be going positive. You don't want to take multiple minus games in a row because that's going to offset any big boosts that you try to get later in the games. Say you have a pop-off game, you get plus 300 points, but then the next 4 games you go negative 60. Well, that almost took away every single point that you got that big pop-off game. Instead, put it to a point where you get a big pop-off game, but then the next couple of games you're getting like a plus 10 or a plus 5 or even a plus 0. As long as you're not going negative, you're not resetting your points and you're making it so you're slowly climbing over time. And if you put every single one of these tips into use, you'll see that you're getting those negative 60 games a lot less often. Or for those of you that are not in platinum, whatever your negative value is. Way too many people are trying to be the hero every single game. You're solo queuing. You're not going to win every single game. It's not possible to do that. If you are winning every single game, then you should probably try and find a dedicated 3-stack because you are insanely good at this game. Over time, take the small victories, because when you do finally find that team that you just click with and you end up winning with a ton of points and you get those huge jumps, that's going to help you climb a lot more in the long run. But let me know your favorite solo queue tip in the comments down below, and if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button. Thank you so for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming. I'll see you guys in the next one.